To item number 9.
I mean, if I may start, Chairman, I mean, this is a potential question of what the new way of working now. I'll make this brief and to ask you to bring it back to in September. I started writing the report to give you a sort of open-ended opportunity to state what you think on the review. And in the meantime, I received a formal paper from Councillor Brown and Charlesworth, which included 4 motions, which, because this has been included on the agenda, that at the moment is the substantive motion that's put before you, within a paper that's been provided by Councillor Brown and Charlesworth.
Okay. Councillor Jackson, will you hand up?
I have to start by saying that I'm very disappointed that this report has come in the way it has come. Last week, the majority of councillors met in an informal situation to review the Constitution, and we had a very, very positive meeting at which there appeared to be quite a lot of dissent at first, but as the meeting wore on, it became more and more apparent that we were actually all singing from the same hymn sheet. And it became quite clear that the councillors present, who were there for the purpose of looking at the Constitution, were quite happy with the way that the Constitution was working, apart from one or two minor tweaks, which I was asked to report back to the clerk, which didn't need that much of an alteration, in fact no alteration, it was more a case of how it was working. And so that was duly done. And I was very disappointed that as I reported back to the clerk, it reported to me that this document had arrived. I would have thought that had the 2 gentlemen who had proposed this report had attended that meeting, then many of the items there that are on this particular report could have been sorted out, and they would have known then whether or not it had brought support of the council. By doing it the way they've done, they're now going to involve us in quite a long, possibly contentious discussion, and you know, the mechanism was there, is what I'm saying, and you chose to ignore it.
I think Councillor Coyne has his hand up the other day, and then it's Councillor Charlesworth, followed by Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I must admit that having read through the whole of this document, the only bit that I have any real difficulty with is the section concerning the role of leader. I have difficulty seeing why there is such a problem with a conflict regarding somebody being on the clerk's management panel and also being the first point of contact. I can't see how that is a significant enough issue to call to abolish the role of the leader of the council. If the situation existed where there had been complaints or issues with the way in which Councillor Jackson had fulfilled the role of leader, and I'm aware of none, then we should be addressing those problems with a view to, is Councillor Jackson the appropriate person to be the leader, with a view that if it's decided that he's not, then we elect an alternative leader. I don't believe that's sufficient grounds for us to abolish the leader, because that is suggesting that if it is a case of some people think that Councillor Jackson isn't doing a good enough job, it carries on that we're also thinking none of us can do a good job of it. And I don't see that there's sufficient grounds there to call for the abolition of the role.
Councillor Charlesworth.
Thank you. Can I go back to the paper that we put into this meeting that we formulated so we could properly, not as an ad hoc meeting, but as a proper meeting of the Town Council, which we always said we would have back in May when it was formed, rather than what was said at an informal meeting which has no legal direction whatsoever. Thank you very much. Okay? The theory behind this reflected in the change cycle. I'm talking now about the paper here, where we've gone through it systematically as to why we need it. It's an iterative process. We all started new, we had a different way of operating, and I'm aware that there were different opinions as to whether it would work straight away or whether we should go into it gradually. But we've worked on it, and gradually we've gone round the loop, and we are learning gradually, and things are improving slowly but surely. And that is how it will be. We will need to go several times around the loop in order to improve matters even further. I mean, that's how these new systems work. There may be still a misunderstanding of how the panels and, as required, working groups will operate. Some operate better than others, and some haven't operated at all. And finally, this paper addresses the concept of having a leader within the laws that operate for town councils as compared, say, to district and county councils. Now, the proposals 1, 2 and 3 and 4 address these issues. Proposal 1 refers to panels. As I said, and we agree that it's tweaking that is the essence of that. Proposal 2 refers to working groups, which hasn't really taken off much at all, but obviously we need to start forming them. Proposal 3 refers to one that we need a new panel for markets, fairs, and finally a proposal 4 referring to leaders. Now, not only in terms of reference, but the numbers of councils involved in the voting process, if any, at the meetings they initiate, that needs to be addressed as well. I've been to some of the panels and the working group that we have had, and there is no obstacle to, if you're not a member of that group, to being present at it. I mean, that's the attitude, and you wouldn't want to start throwing people out, but there has to be a set number in order to make it operate properly. Notwithstanding this is always the need to coordinate and initiate these meetings and administering the feedback to council of the proposals be taken to full council. That's how it works. Now, the leader issue has been considered previously, and I'm aware that other councils do have leaders. Not a lot, but they do have them. Some councils even have deputy leaders. Some councils at parish and town are based on party political lines, and we know all about that. I've come from areas where that happens as well. But the reason we keep bringing it up is because the legislation as it stands, and I brought the thing with me as well, that a leader can have no more power than that of any councillor, that there is the possibility that they will do so. Councils at town and parish do not elect leaders, and any decision of them are ultra vires as it goes down and void. Now, the thing about this, the 1972 Act defined mayor and chair procedures, and the 2003 Act defines principal authorities, leaders and cabinet-style governance. That is how it worked. If this constitution is allowed to develop and we go through the iterative process, then it should work without having one person formally having to take on all the problems and report back to the town council officers, because it will work openly without that. So again, you come back to the possibility that if you do have a leader at town council level which is outside the law, there is no doubt about that, and decisions are making of which there is complaint either from the external auditor or from a member of the electorate or from staff, then we would not have a legal leg to stand on. That is how it works. Thank you very much.
I've got a point of order I'm entitled to in terms of bringing clarity to the things. It is not against the law. We've been through all that. You said that in the past, and we counted it. And to keep on saying it's against the law, Councillor Charles, is entirely wrong.
It is not within the law. The law applies to
We have been
county councils, of which you're a county council. It applies to district councils, which we have district councils around this table.
Yeah, two important issues here. The panels, the appointment of specific members to each panel. I unfortunately couldn't be at the annual meeting, but at no time before it was I given a list or any idea of the selection process for the names on each panel. Now, I've been a town councillor for nearly 4 years. When we had the committee system, before the annual meeting each year, each councillor was given a list with the different committees, and you were asked to put your preference 1 to 3, whatever. Now, I actually asked the clerk, who confirmed this last week, how was I chosen for the disciplinary committee, and I was informed that 2 councillors selected.
No, I did not say that, Mrs. Warren, I'm sorry. But anyway, you are referring back to something in May, with the greatest respect, the council approved on a 17 nil.
No,
I'm just conscious of taking this debate back to something in May.
Sorry,
I apologise.
sorry, I've still got a point on the leader. So I still don't know how and who selected me for the panel I'm on. Okay?
Thank you very much, Councillor.
No, the leader, sorry. I agree with John Charlesworth. I have voted, not because it's Councillor Jackson, it could be the man in the moon or the lady in the moon. I've never voted for a leader either before or during or in the Constitution, because the advice from NALC, and I've got a copy for the 20th of 5th, 1915, some local councils appoint leaders. Any such appointment is not recognised by the statutory provisions that apply to a local councillor. A leader is not a recognised office holder in the statutory constitution for a local council. The leader is a councillor who is selected from and among the group of councillors in the local council that has the political majority on the council. Despite the informal conventions and practices within a local council, a leader has only the same formal standing as any other councillor.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Right, I've got Councillors Brearley Cook, followed by Councillor Titmus and Claire.
I'll start with the panels and the panel selection. We've got one here that says that markets should be incorporated to include events. I'd like some clarification on that as to exactly what events. I don't think that it would be viable for the people who are doing the markets, Christmas market and Christmas lights, to actually take on those events. There's a heck of a lot of work that goes into producing an event. So I would suggest that events need something on their own. I don't think it's, as I say, I don't think it's viable for that particular group to work all of that. They can't be marketing secret or however you want to put it. To me, that's my personal opinion. I just don't think that would work. The leader was voted on. We've had all of this. We all went through this. Who's got the authority? Has he got more authority? Is it legal? Isn't it? We thrashed all that out in May. Why are we thrashing it out again? Those are my opinions.
Councillor Titmus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got comments to make on panels, working groups, and the leader. Do you want me to give them all one?
Yes, if you would, please.
The panels, I want to say they are less and not more transparent than committee structure. Notice of committee meetings, agendas and supporting papers and attendance at them were available to all councillors in the past. And meetings for committees were scheduled far in advance and almost invariably held out of working hours to allow those still in work opportunity to attend. Not so with panels. I have no problems with panels, but they are not transparent compared to committees. Membership panels, I think I agree with Councillor Lorimer. The membership was foisted on the council.
Yeah.
With committees, all councillors could volunteer for committee membership based on their interests, skills, experience and availability. Councillors were not given this courtesy regarding panel availability, panel membership. I would propose that the council rethinks its protocol for membership of panels and reverts to the former system of choosing membership with the clerk having a final decision, and that this is done soon and not left until May 2017. The strategic plan panel might need to take on much of the work of the old finance and strategy and services committees. Is the current membership the most relevant? Why not allow the strategic plans panel to increase membership to say 7? After all members are unlikely to be available for every meeting during the day. Additionally, and this is an important point, and I think it's already been mentioned by Councillor Charlesworth, the new constitution does not appear to allow any financial input for budgeting from councillors, except in council meetings. Previously, all committee chairmen have been closely involved in setting the budgets for their committees before the Finance and Strategy Committee brought it all together. This meant that most, if not all, councillors were involved in the budgeting process hands-on and had a better understanding of the financial needs. My fourth point, on panels, this comes from personal experience. The position of chairman and mayor is very time-consuming and potentially arduous, especially when he or she has to chair council meetings every other week. It is patently unfair to me to require the chairman to also be a member of the SP panel and the management panel. There's also a disadvantage in having a chairman on a management panel. In any case, it flies in the face of LELC advice. I propose that the chairman should be allowed to concentrate on the vital roles of chairing the council and being mayor of Sleaford, and stand down from management and strategic plan panel. And I have a question regarding to the panels. Do we have any terms of reference for all panels? I've only seen terms of reference for 2 amplified panels. If we are lacking some, I think we should make a move to provide terms of reference. I'll just turn attention, please, very quickly to working groups. These obviously should be formed for a specific task by the council and are clearly stated in the council when it's formed and the date for the final report decided on. That might be, I suggest, 2 weeks is too soon for the next council meeting, is too soon to get most work done. I would suggest probably that the meeting after that, sorry, 4 weeks' time. The group, as an example, the group of councillors invited to help the clerk to help with the asset review has now been assigned to a range of other tasks, such as dealing with the cemetery toilet block, Castlefield, Eastgate car park and allotments. From the document that was passed around at the last meeting. In other words, it's a service committee lookalike. These tasks cannot be carried out in the expected type of working group, especially if there's 4 of them with a priority of 2 or 3. One might also question whether those councillors who signed up for an asset review will be the same who would have signed up for the other 6 tasks. And finally, just about the leader. There's no doubt that this council disregarded advice from LELC regarding the ability to elect a leader in a parish or town council. That was the prerogative of this council, and that's what we did. LELC in December last year stated, and I quote now, that any involvement with the clerk by an individual member, whether you call it managing or supporting, is not allowed. SDC's Guide to Standing Orders, which was valid at that time, identified the chairman as being the only individual councillor who is expected to work with the clerk in specific areas. And yet, our current standing orders at subparagraph 3J say, and I quote, in summary, the leader has no more powers or duties than any other councillor except to support the work of the clerk in the ways defined in the Constitution. This is completely contrary to the advice that we got from LELC at the time. And my final point, if I may, Mr. Chairman, regardless of the legality or otherwise of the position of the leader in a parish council, I would just make the point that, in my opinion, no strong case was made for the reintroduction of the leader, and I expressed that view quite forcibly a year or so ago. And now, when we have a full-time, top-notch permanent clerk, a management panel, a full-time permanent service supervisor, the office facilities and staff, and a new town hall to boot, all things we did not have previously, I think that flimsy reasons put forward for a leader will be flimsy. Thank you.
Councillor Quinn.
Thank you, Chairman. I thought I knew what, I just want to talk about motion 4 abolishing the leader. I thought I knew what the reasoning, or at least I read the reasoning behind the role of the leader as in the report document, and now I'm confused because the seconder refers to the illegality of it, and various other individuals who I'm well aware voted against the having a leader are basically raising other issues, and it sounds to me a bit like Groundhog Day, and perhaps a bit of sour grapes and an opportunity, if I may say, to try and reverse the decision that we took, where a majority decision was taken to have a leader. It's a bit like, and I voted for Remain before anyone criticised me, but a number of Remainers who rather we went back and had another Brexit vote. I don't know if Brexit means Brexit is the right phrase to use, but I see we have a leader now, and I think we should give the leader, as indeed with our new constitution, which we've also got, time to actually settle in. And I don't think this, if I must be clear about it, if not underhand, is just a case of sour grapes, that those that didn't want a leader are now trying to reverse that decision. And after all, those that were involved in developing the new constitution, including the proposer, were fully aware of the inclusion of and reference to the leader and the role of the leader in the new constitution. And I would have thought that the time to have raised those concerns by the people drafting that document was at the time it was discussed and voted on back in May on the 18th. And it's also interesting, and even giving the proposer the benefit of the doubt, that he hadn't realised that there may be, as is referred to in the report, a conflict between providing advice and being manager for the leader. If it is suddenly, that he may not have known then, he was at that time willing to stand as a candidate for the leader's position. And I trust his willingness to stand was not simply a case of opportunism, nor that having failed to be elected, he and his supporters, that this motion has anything to do, as I say, with the case of sour grapes. I hope not. But in conclusion, while I accept there may well be a conflict as leader, as being seen as both advisor and manager, I will not be voting in favour of this motion. I don't think abolishing the role is the right way forward. I do think we do need to give the leader and the new constitution time to settle in and revisit it, perhaps, I suggest, in May next year, when we've had time to consider it. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Chairman. I think the Councillor Pegg makes a very interesting point. I won't be voting for any of the motions because I don't think the motions, I think the motions are divisive, and I think they are aimed at significant change within the constitution that we've got at the moment. And let's be clear, when we talk about the constitution, what is always an issue is that section there and the standing orders that go with it. It's not the constitution, it's not 24 chapters, it's 2 of them. And that is always what is at issue. The constitution that was voted on in May was put together very quickly. I think it was a surprise, within the council that it was managed to do that. There may well be some issues in terms of panel membership and how panel membership is arrived at. And you know, I'm all for improvements, but a wholesale change, I think, which is what I'll come back to. I'm certainly not for it, and not after 6 months. And there may well be better ways to do it. There may well be some merits, as Councillor Titmus said, into increasing the panel size from 5 to 7. But the proposal, one of the proposals that we've got before us, is to create more panels. And to do away with panels as the council sees fit at any time, and to reform panels maybe at different times. That's what the motion actually says. The panels are entirely different from working groups because the panels are there from one AGM to the next AGM. But there's continuity through the course of that year. It can be changed at the end of it, but there is continuity through the course of the year. Working groups, be they long-term ones, we have got a life because of the tasks that they're dealing with as a while, or short-term working groups which operate more on a task and finish basis, can be created and decreated and can be there to do a particular task or not. The working groups that we've got at the moment for the Christmas market must be quite a big job. It simply suggests that that working group can expand and to cover all events and all marketing, which presumably is another way of overcoming the working group vote we had at the previous council meeting, where where there was some disagreement about the office working group, and this is just a way of getting rid of it, and putting it into yet another panel. And you could call that panel the general purposes panel, I suppose, Council Grants. And no doubt at some stage in the future we might have a suggestion that you can't have a strategic plan panel without having budgetary responsibility as well, so we might have finance and strategy. And no doubt at some stage there might be a service panel that's been suggested as well. And I can't see then how we've actually moved forward one bit from what we actually had in 2015. And of course the strategic panel is the one that's meant to try and drive the delivery forward. So the strategic panel would be in a very strong position then in terms of leading all the other panels, as for the lead of that panel. So I can't support any of those motions because I think it's too early to do it. I don't agree with what's been put forward in terms of the four motions one bit. There's been no significant change in terms of how we actually why we decided we wanted a leader before we moved on to the new constitution. And I could argue that because of the way that we're going and the speed that we're going, it's probably more important to have a leader at the moment to try and ensure that all councillors' concerns are brought to the floor. And to a certain extent, that's what's happened, and I think that is quite appropriate. If there's councillors are concerned that things aren't moving in the direction that the councillors voted that they should, we need somebody that points that out and somebody that can actually try and bring comfort to councillors. So the suggestion that the constitution has created a change that requires us to actually do away with the leader is absolute nonsense. And the fact that we keep on getting these regenerated phraseologies that maybe people don't really understand what it is we're talking about or what we're talking about. And we went through that time and time again, and it seems a bit sad that they keep on being brought up again and again. So I will not be voting for any of the four motions. If the motions have been put forward that move the constitution in a direction rather than we're actually trying to create significant change, I'd have a lot more sympathy. And I do have sympathy with what Councillor Titmus has said, and I think there are improvements we can make, but not wholesale change in terms of what's been suggested in this paper.
Right, it's been suggested to me by the clerk that I need to end the debate fairly soon. I've got three councillors who have already spoken once, plus I've got Councillor Dolby and Councillor Graves who haven't spoken. Can I just have Councillor Dolby and Councillor Graves who haven't spoken in this debate?
And there's Councillor Grants who hasn't spoken. He's kept very quiet.
Okay.
Three more, Chairman.
Yes.
Three more.
What's in the panel? What does it mean? It's a good debate.
We're going to be here all night.
Yes. Councillor Dolby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make it brief in case my voice backs up. I was one of the councillors who voted against the role of leader. It's quite clear to me that no councillor but the chair can advise the clerk. So the leader's role to be the first point of contact with the clerk for advice is totally wrong. And I do believe that that is illegal.
Councillor Graves.
Can I start?
Oh, sorry.
Not that. I don't want to repeat too much of what was said before, but it is quite clear that a leader is not a recognised office holder. And the LALCAM advice, which is also to do with the local government organisation, says the leader of a council may be active in organising and lobbying other councillors in his political group on council business. Despite the informal conventions and practices within a local council, a leader has only the same formal standing as any other councillor. Now, if the leading majority political group on the council wish to elect a leader and then that is fine. But he cannot, as far as I can see, from anything I've read, be leader of the council. Because he is an individual sole councillor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I will say just one thing. I emailed all councillors at the beginning of August saying that I was concerned that the town council seemed to be in limbo. I don't think many of the councillors who are not on these panels, whatever they are, seem to know what's going on. No working parties have been set up. They were abolished in May and nothing has taken their place. And that's far too long a time for working parties not to exist.
We've created one mass council meeting.
Sorry?
We've created one mass council
It's
meeting.
not a conversation, sorry.
Well, I don't see that in the minutes, but there we go.
Councillor
I'll pass on to Councillor Grace.
Mr. Chairman, I'm slightly confused with the role of the leader, or I'm not confused in what he's supposed to be doing. But in that minute, when we resolved in May to review the Constitution in September, I'm not aware that we resolved to review the position of leader in September, because it's certainly not minted if we did. All it says was September, full review of the Constitution today. And we certainly didn't decide on the position of leader on that minute. So I'm a little bit unsure. So even under the 6-month rule, and I'm sure councillors can put any motion on there, it's signed by, it's proposed and seconded, but I'm just a little bit confused why we are actually considering it. Whether you for it or against it?
Yeah, through the vote, Chair. I was just conscious that I think, sorry, Councillor Brown's not spoken to you as the proposal, but I do sense it.
Can I just point out that the leader was elected for 1 year?
Thank you very much, Councillor Jackson. I'm just going to give the final word to Councillor Brown and we'll put it to the vote.
Well, thank you, Chair. I will try to depersonalise what has already been said. I'm sure Councillor Pepper wants to issues of sour grapes and the like. Let me try and pick up the variety of opinions which have been put forward. It was agreed that we would review the Constitution. The Constitution contains things such as the working of panels, the working of groups, the role of the chair, the role of the proper officer, and indeed the role of the leader. So I think it's absolutely valid that we appropriately look at the Constitution. As a proponent of the current Constitution and its guiding principles, which I believe to be transparency and governance through the council itself, rather than delegating it, that we made in advance. But I'm not here to pretend that it has actually been operationalised in a proper fashion. Has already been pointed out, I think it's only 2 of the panels which have actually presented and had terms of references approved by the council. The others should appropriately come forward, whether you believe in panels or not. The point is, to be fulfilling the working of the Constitution, we should have those. Similarly, we should have terms of reference agreed for the working groups, and in a sense implicit in that is the issue of the fact that they're supposed to be short term, and therefore presumably we should appropriately time limit them when they're set up. But again, we don't have terms of reference, as far as I can see, for any of the working groups. I'm aware that councillors have expressed an opinion that therefore this means that people have been kept in the dark. Well, as we are now advancing in the agenda this time round, it is good to see that we actually have under internal affairs the ability for the panels and the working groups to regularly report back, and I commend that, and I think that should happen in future. To describe this as a sort of wholesale changed the constitution, I have to say I think it's somewhat overstated. All that myself and Councillor Charles have picked up on is ways of actually helping to improve the panels and the working groups. It was decided that there would be a maximum of 5. I heard at the end of last meeting, when perhaps some people weren't elected to that working group, that they should co-opt. I'm afraid there is no co-option allowed. And I've allowed an ability in the first 2 motions that panels and working groups would legitimately be able to have other people attending to give advice, although it would remain up to those members of the panel or working group to actually make the recommendation to the council. I can't see that that's a radical and departure and tearing up the constitution. I think it's a beneficial proposal in proposals 1 and 2. My colleague also quite rightly points out that how on earth do people actually, as we saw last time, get appointed to panels?
Yeah.
We ended up picking names out of hats. We must surely, as a professional body, arrive at a better way of doing this. I have to correct Councillor Allen and others when you talk about panels. I refer you to section 13F, which says the council may dissolve a panel at any time. That is what you agreed. So I'm not proposing anything different.
I've had my say, and
I'm looking at the leader who is saying that I would actually have introduced something to have introduced. That's there in the existing council constitution. You said that? All right. The role of leader comes up. Well, the point is, my colleague, Councillor Charles, is absolutely correct, and others in pointing out the issues which arise if we choose to have a leader. The Local Government Act 2000, which reorganised the way councils work, did bring in the concept of a leader and a change in governance of certain councils. Not parish and town councils, but quite clearly in the Act which I have in front of me, county councils, district councils, London Borough councils, the common councils of the City of London and councils of the Isle of Scilly. It was a governance move where you have a highly politicised system. One of the virtues I've often said about Sleaford Town Council is that we're not party politicised. Thankfully, we work generally constructively as independent councillors in the main to arrive at sound decisions for the whole of Sleaford. One might argue, I mean, I was a part of this discussion and debate. One might argue that, well, the 2000 Act didn't actually say that it didn't apply to parish and district councils. You might choose to use that as an argument for saying, well, we can do it. What worries me is, as has been stated already, that when we brought across the role of the leader, we carefully had that point that a leader is no more authority than any other member of the council. Therefore, well, you've raised it, Councillor Coyne, so I will ask, where in the Constitution do we allow for informal meetings to be called? It's not part of any Constitution that I know. You might possibly argue, if you want, well, we don't have a line that says they can't be, therefore potentially we can, come. The point was that I do have the email here, which says, comes from Councillor Jackson, and it quite clearly says that he will be calling this informal meeting. Well, there's no informal meeting to be called in his role as leader. Point out to me again where in our Constitution we've actually said that this is something that the leader can legitimately do. It cannot be done. So I am concerned.
It seems I'm accused of doing something that's illegal. Can I point out?
Is it unconstitutional?
Illegal or unconstitutional, same thing. The leader chose to call that meeting of all councillors or invite all councillors. I could have quite easily in my role as leader of Sleaford Independents, I could have quite easily called the meeting, but I am very conscious that I do not want to politicise this council. So therefore the invitation was sent out to all. And you had the chance to attend, everybody had the chance to attend. You chose not to do, you chose to go away and do something else instead.
Chairman, I'm conscious there are public and press
Yes.
in the room. If you're so minded, I would like to move the motions. The motions are on the paper. I would like to see them voted on.
I still would like clarification, Chair, where in the Constitution we allow more than 4 meetings by invite going forward?
If someone wishes to propose and second a vote,
We vote on the motions before us.
Oh, excuse me, Chair. Are we voting individually for each motion?
we will be.
Yes, I would prefer that as far.
So we've all got clarity of what we're actually voting for.
But we've got a proposal, which is a procedural motion to vote before.
Could that proposal record a vote?
Yes.
Excuse me, members of the public, we will be looking at my back for the next 3 minutes. Right.
You're on camera.
Are you voting on motion number 1, Chair, are we?
We were voting on, I believe, the procedural motion to have a vote now.
Mr. Chairman, I need to say why you've got your hand up, Councillor, please.
Chairman, can I say something?
Yes, you may.
Before we take the vote on motion 1, can I ask if the council would like to take the opportunity? There was a proposal, it wasn't a formal proposal, that there could be maximum 7 members of a panel. It seemed to have had favourable numbers. It was also mentioned in the supporting papers for this. Is this not an opportunity to allow?
You are entitled to make an amendment, Councillor, on a point of order. It would have to be with the proposed and seconders' agreement.
I'll second that.
Now you have to accept those as amendments. So the motions 1 and 2 will refer directly to the numbers being from 5 to 7.
Only?
Yes.
Only?
Could I suggest, Clark, that we actually bring this back to a future meeting?
No, we've got that element of it, possibly. I mean,
yes.
Councillor, he's made an amendment, and I'm asking Councillor Brown if he's willing to accept that amendment as part of his motions for numbers 1 and 2. That panel sizes. We've still got to go to the vote. I can listen to the depth of feeling around the room.
I just want clarity in terms of what we're voting for. If all the rest of it is all out, apart from that one item, C, E is it?
Right, motion 1, line E, as I see it, as mentioned.
And just for motion 1, not motion 2.
Right, just for motion
Right.
1.
Which is the panel.
Well, I'm sorry, but E simply says a panel consists of a maximum of 5 members. It says maximum of 7, just 3 members. Which is what we have at the moment, so I'm not totally sure what...
No, he's asking for 7. Okay.
7.
He wants that number E to be amended to 7.
But I go back to what I'm saying, is it only that line, and the rest of it goes?
Yes.
No, it doesn't go.
No, it's an amendment to one article.
In that case, it's no different to what it was before in reality.
I do think, actually, you need to go to the vote on this because we did the hearing on that.
The rest.
Chair, can I just clarify, because I don't vote on anything unless I'm 100%.
Please, Councillor.
Thank you. After G, it's got the means and criteria by which the council has selected the panel still has to be addressed. Are we including this in the motion that we're going to address how they're selected, or are we going to do that at a future date?
That's a no.
We'll do it at a future date. You have a proposal and secondary here, Councillor.
I do understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got motion number 1.
Councillor Brown accepted the
Have you accepted?
Right.
So motion number 1, then, Councillor, is as read there, except in line E, it says a panel will consist of 5 sections.
Can I see all those in favour?
Right, so I know...
I thought something called it.
Yes, I am going to do a recorded vote. I was waiting for those in favour of the motion.
Can I see all those in favour of motion number 1?
Right,
As
please.
amended.
I'm assuming 2 hands.
favour of the amended motion, yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
But the motion with that amendment
In it.
in it.
Sorry?
Wait a minute.
Just a second.
As with Colin, I need to apply.
Okay, but I think everyone will be
Can we not just
confused.
vote on what we've got in front of
Yes,
us?
please.
No, it's
Any
an amendment.
amendments come back later?
Councillor has proposed and there's been a seconder for an amendment to a motion made. That amendment is allowed. If you vote for that amendment to be made, and I'll ask for a show of hands.
Yeah.
Councillor Grant's accepted. If you'd like a show of hands on that amendment being made to the proposal, Councillor Grant's accepted. I'll happily do the vote there, and then we will vote on the motion with the 5 to 7.
That would be normal.
Okay, so you happy that in our thing?
Okay, is everybody clear in the room what the vote
No, not clear. If the motion is accepted, the proposal amendment is accepted,
Only to the proposal on here. It doesn't. If it then fails, if Councillor Grant's proposal then fails, by vote, it all disappears.
No, that's the original motion.
No, it isn't. It cannot be that you're making an amendment to one motion. You're not putting set in stone for the future. Sorry, it's clear. You're making an amendment to a proposal and second that had already come through. If that proposal does not go through with an amendment, it falls on vote. Nothing changes, and if you want me to bring something back at a future meeting, you
But
will
we
direct
can't
me to
bring
do
it
so.
back for 6 months, this
No.
5 to 7.
No, you cannot rescind. You cannot
Okay.
change your decision. You've
Okay.
always got the liberty to look at and review things, so long as you don't change. So long as you don't rescind it.
Right, so everybody is clear in the room.
Are you clear now?
Well, I assume that Councillor Willis's proposal amended with first of all,
Councillor Tibbs.
we would first
It's
of all
only an
decide
amendment to this motion.
it's an amendment to the motion, then you vote on the motion.
Because just to be clear, in any other council I've ever seen, you vote on the amendment.
Yes.
The amendment falls,
Yes.
back to the original
I
motion.
absolutely yes, I know, but I'm asking now, if Councillor Brown has accepted the amendment, you two have put a proposal together, we amend Councillor's amendment, a motion to include 5 to 7, yes?
Yes.
So do you want to vote on that first?
Yes.
He's in acceptance, right.
can I,
So
sorry, this is supposed to be on this, but can we be absolutely clear? If the amendment is passed,
no, it's only an amendment to a motion, it's not an amendment to our constitutional operation. If their proposal then fails by voting, it doesn't, we will not be going to 7. This is an amendment to a
Yes.
proposal made.
But we can bring it back again, that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
going
of
to
course you can. I'm
7.
not going to stop
At
you.
another
The
meeting.
principle is around these 4
We
motions.
won't rescind.
right, it just seems to me that the reason why Councillor Fitness wants us to have an amendment is because he doesn't want to lose the opportunity to change from 5 to 7. And what I am suggesting is that if we vote on the motion as it stands, I am quite sure that Councillor Titmus would receive a lot of support from this council if he were to suggest that it's amended to 7 in the future. And so
There's nothing to stop you as a councillor doing that in the future. So don't forget the body of this motion has a number of points to it. There's 4 or 5 points. Sorry, I might be losing understanding what you're saying. You're not voting on going immediately to 7 if Councillor Brown's motion fails. That's it.
Yes.
We're at the status quo remains.
and we haven't lost the opportunity to increase it to 7.
No, you can bring something back after. This is an amendment to that person's motion. I can't accept a motion amendment from the floor to permanently change something in the Constitution because it wasn't included in the agenda. But there's nothing to stop you as council, if you want to come back and say we want to increase the numbers.
Can I suggest through you, Mr. Chairman, that we vote on the amendment to the motion, and if that amendment passes, we then vote on the amended motion. If it fails, we vote on the original motion.
Yes.
That's a clear and practical way forward.
Yes.
So I'll take it away what Councillor Willis suggests. So you're voting for motion 1 plus.
No, I just amendment line say 7, not 5.
Right.
You call me a vote, Mr. Chair.
No, okay, I'm not in favour.
This vote, or do you want me to record this
No, not
vote?
this.
No, I didn't.
Right, so this is an amendment to an ID to make it go from 5 to 7.
Can I see all those in favour of making it 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And can I see all those against?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Abstentions?
There must be 2 abstentions. Right, you've got that down. So, Councillor Brown, you've accepted the amendment, but now you're voting, Chair, on the proposal about motion 1 in isolation and with the amendment that 5 goes to 7 in dining.
Can I see all those?
I'm recording this, Madam.
Motion 1 as amended.
This is for the proposal made by Councillor Brown and Charles with a small amendment.
Can I see all those in favour of the report?
I'm recording it. I prefer to see hands if I might.
Chairman, can you do initials for...
Yeah, Councillor Brown, Councillor Lorimer. Is that up or down, sir? Down. Right. Councillor Dolby, Councillor Graves. You all right so far?
Yeah.
Councillor Charlesworth, Councillor Willis, Councillor Titmus, Councillor Fernandez, and Councillor Matheson. Could you tell me how many that is by number, please, Madam?
9.
Those against?
Right, we're recording this against Councillor Souter, Councillor Allen, Councillor Snooks, Councillor Brody Cook, Councillor Coyne, Councillor Jackson,
And abstentions.
Oh, that should be, can I just check the number 7? Right, and 2 abstentions, Madam, which is Councillors Clegg and Councillors McCallum.
Right, motion number 2.
Thank you, Chairman. Motion number 2 with no amendment.
Can I see all those in favour of motion 2?
Do you want this recorded? I'm sorry, I'm thinking this is all will be recorded. Yes, please. Councillors Brand, Councillor Lorimer, Councillor Dolby, Councillor Graves, Councillor Charlesworth, Councillor Willis, Councillor Titmus, Councillor Matheson.
And those against?
Councillor, you're on, Melanie? Yeah. Councillor against, Councillor Souter, Councillor Allen, Councillor Snooks, Councillor Mrs. Brody Cook, Councillor Coyne, Councillor Jackson. How many is that?
6.
Any abstentions?
Councillors Clegg, Councillor Fernandez and Councillor McCallum have abstained. So that motion, I think by numbers, is carried, yes?
And motion number 3. Can I see all those in favour?
This is that, replace the panel, to make a panel out of the market fairs and events.
Can I see all those in favour?
Councillor Brand, Councillor Charlesworth.
Okay, and can I see all those against?
Right, now they'll still recording, this will be a long list.
Yeah.
Councillor Souter, Councillor Mr. Allen, Councillor McCallum, Councillor Snooks, Councillor Mrs. Brody Cook, Councillor Coyne, Councillor Fernandez, Councillor Clegg, Councillor Jackson, and Councillor Mrs. Matheson.
And any abstentions?
The abstentions, Melanie, are Councillor Lorimer, Councillor Dolby, Councillor Graves, Councillor Willis, and Councillor Titmus.
And on motion number 4, can I take advice from the clerk and that we had, it is legal to have it because we previously made before our AGM decision to have a leader of the council. Therefore, it was legal to put on this agenda. You know, it was a longer period than 6 months.
Yes, you were elected to leader in December 15 by 14 votes to Curry, up to that today. And then in May, when you revised the Constitution, you voted again on that leader role with Councillor Jackson, and Councillor Jackson was again re-elected. There were 17 people present at that meeting. Oh, you must have 18, so just 17. So this is motion number 4. This is in favour. This is in favour of motion number 4.
So,
Which is to abolish
the leader.
Right. So, can I see all those in favour of that?
Councillor Brand, Councillor Lorimer, Councillor Dolby, Councillor Charlesworth, Councillor Willis, and Councillor Titmus, Melanie.
And can I see all those against?
Councillor Souter, Councillor Allen, Councillor Snooks, Councillor Brody Cook, Councillor Coyne, Councillor Clegg, Councillor Jackson, and Councillor Mrs. Matheson. That motion's failed, Chairman.
And any abstentions?
I apologise, abstentions. Councillor Graves, Councillor McCallum, Councillor Fernandez. I just should double check the numbers, Melanie. So, as long as it adds up to 17.
Thank you very much for that item. We're now running a bit late. Can we move on to the next item?
Motion 1 was passed with an amendment. Motion 2 was passed as is. Motion 3 was failed. Is that right? Am I right? Motion 3?
Yes, yes.
Yes, and motion 4. Excuse the word fail. I apologise.
No. How many votes are it? The last one then?
683.
683.
I'll take advice from the clerk as Okay, anybody who wishes to pop out the room very quickly, you've got your opportunity. That's fine.
So I just want to get down to item 11.4 before I go.
Well, if you've got the effects,
You're on camera. Oh, no, actually. You're on camera.
there is no slider along the top, or down the side,